This is stage 12 of the Chasing Yellow series. We have our second rest day coming up tomorrow, but as you can see from the info, the route we'll be on today is the highline, and the key feature is this New York KOM coming in at 1.4 kilometers and a 6.1% gradient. We're going to be doing 3 laps with that climb 4 times. You can see we're just kind of coming in here, getting in the start pens with the A group. Not a huge group today, only about 10 people in the A group, but there's also some pretty strong Bs here. You can see me just kind of warming up down there, getting ready for this to kick off, and I know it's going to be a hard one here. Probably in about 15th, 16th place in GC at this point. Again, my goal is just to stay with the leading group as long as I can and limit the time gaps. And let's get underway. Typical with Zwift races, it's pretty fast out of the start gates. You can see I'm up 350, almost 400 watts. Just until I get that speed up above about 40 kilometers an hour, and then kind of back it down. Since there's not as many A's, sometimes I'll back it down a little bit sooner. Just gonna try to kind of peek at some of the names in this race. I see Collins is in this. He's a regular in this. He's definitely higher than me on GC. Couple other names were in there too. Holiday, I think, is a pretty big name. I don't know how many he's done, but we'll skip ahead here. 3.2 kilometers in. Just going over the first little kicker here. You can see it kind of gets up to 10%. There's a move slightly going off the front there. It's an A up there, pushing the pace, trying to break away. Taylor is up there at 7.5 watts per kilogram. Pretty big for this early on with 38 kilometers to go, and that wasn't even the biggest climb yet of the day. But you can see just myself here, strategy, sitting in third wheel, saving watts. Don't want to work too much, just want to kind of follow the wheels and let other people bridge up to that solo breakaway. 3-second gap isn't too concerning. This is definitely a very rolling course here. You saw at the stage profile at the beginning, constantly going up or down, and then at the very end of this lead-in, you can see at the very top middle screen, the solid blue bars where we're at, light blue at the very end of that. There's that 1.4 kilometer climb, and it essentially is just 3 separate ramps that really kick steep. Really test your legs at, average of 6.1%, but it's really ramping up points to 14-15% and sometimes even 17%. You can see just the pace is still pretty good here. Sitting fourth wheel. Gonna pick up here with 8.5 kilometers into the race. You can see in the top right where we're at on this profile. Just going to start the climb. You can see that red marker we just went through signifies the beginning, and it immediately kicks up to 15% for a little ramp. Some guys pushing orange numbers down there, just keeping the pace high. I'm sitting here just kind of fifth, sixth wheel. Like I said, not looking to set the pace too super hard at the beginning of the day. There's stronger people than me that can do that if they want. But I do want to have some legs left to the end, so just kind of kicking, making sure I stay in a nice position here. I think I went up to 5 watts per kilogram. Flattens out for a little section here, and then you can see this is kind of the bigger portion of the climb coming up here. Through this, this is actually, I consider my home course since I'm in New York City. This is a highline just named after a feature here in the city. You can see it's really kicking 15%. A couple people going in orange numbers, I see a bunch of 7, 6.5 watts per kilogram. So this first time up this climb out of 4 is really going hard. You can see just in the top right mini map the group's starting to splinter. Some of the bees are falling off. There's still quite a few bees up here with us. You can see everybody's still pushing 6 watts per kilogram mostly. Just backing it down a little bit here on the flatter section, flatter being 7%, and it kicks immediately back up 14-15%, and this is really where it starts hurting. This is where it maxes out at 17%, and you can just see the climb cresting here. There's a little bit more left, but this is really the hard part of it. You can see, typical with my strategy, just going over in 5th, 6th wheel. I'm hurting quite a bit at this point. You can see me out of the saddle. My hair is kind of flying around, breathing hard. Like I mentioned the other day, my heart rate monitor is kind of not working correctly right now, so my heart rate's probably 180 at that point. This is the last little flat section. You get a little bit of reprieve before it kicks up onto this final KOM banner. You can see in the top right there's that little red archway. Today's race, you can see I went with the Tron bike, my typical teal color that I like to use. Can kind of make out from the GoPro footage in the bottom left. I have the teal Bianchi as well, so I always try to go with that color. You can see this little steep kick here, and 600 watts I'm pushing just to stay on this. That's a big effort for me. I'm not as much a sprinter. I like the longer steady climbs. You can see immediately cresting this climb off on the left there. I think that guy is steering. Guy from Optimum got off the front a little bit, but he didn't stay away. And now we're gonna just pick it up 19.3 kilometers. You can see the stage profile on the top right. We went downhill flat, and then the key feature is just this 1.4 kilometer climb. So just gonna pick it right back up here on essentially the second time we're going through it. It's technically the first lap. You can see a little breakaway going, one man going off the front there. I don't think he was pushing super hard, but got up 5 watts per kilogram. I think there's another guy going off. Is that Collins going off possibly? But you can see we just carry the speed, and as it ramps up, we carry more speed on, and we just kind of flow through. Again, with 22 kilometers left and 2 more times up this climb, I don't want to break the legs now. I want something left for the last time going through. So just kind of holding on here near the front of the pack. I like to climb near the front of the pack just because, one, you have a little bit of room to sag back, and 2, when you're at the back of the pack, I feel like you're always constantly feeling like you're going to drop. Just saw another pretty big name in this series, Christensen. He's a pretty strong climber, but you can see a lot of these guys are pushing over 7 watts per kilogram. Pace is really strong. You can see in the mini map top right just how strung out it is. This group is really getting whittled down, probably down to 10, 15 riders. A lot of people in the A's, couple strong B's. Just because of how this series is, sometimes B's can't upgrade right away. You can see as we're just getting up to the last little part of this before the end of the lap, there's a breakaway of about 3 people up the road on this little flat section, about to go into that kicker. Not super worried, but once this guy goes Taylor, I see him ramping up to 6 watts per kilogram. I figure I better follow this wheel. Because you can see on the right hand side there's less and less A's left in this group, so I don't want to be the one caught out doing all the work on my own. So I kick it up 7. You can see some of the people behind me are 8, 9 watts per kilogram. And we really bring back some distance there. But what you can see, just Collins popped up to 10 watts per kilogram. Just kicking it out of that steep part down on the descent and trying to open up a gap. You'll notice a theme throughout the day. Everybody actually set PRs there, which is kind of funny. The theme throughout the day is just Christensen up at 8 watts per kilogram, but a lot of attacks tried to go away. You can see one more rider trying to go up the road. My honest opinion is on a map like this or a course like this, you're not going to get a break the stick. Most of the time in Zwift you're not. Especially this climb's only a kilometer, 1.4 kilometers, so it's just going to be tough with this immediate descent right after. You know, you can maybe open up 9, 10, 15 seconds if you're really good, but it's hard to make that stick on the descent because this pack just keeps rolling through. You can see we skipped ahead about a minute down further on this descent, and we're just rolling through. You can see we cut that gap down to them, the 3 and the breakaway just in front. I think I'm going to roll through here and just kind of finish off the close. But that kind of was the end of that little breakaway. Going on to technically lap 2, but it's really going to be like the 3rd time we're through here, and just going to pick up here with 23.5 kilometers in. We've already climbed 400 meters on the day. This is just after that descent. You can see it. The climb doesn't come till the very end of the lap, so we're right before that. And Collins is just kicking here, 12 watts per kilogram, just going clear off the front after that other attack. The Optimum rider immediately jumps on his wheel with that 10 watt per kilogram effort himself. You can see I'm just at 5, 6 now, 7. I realize at this point I don't want to do the work to chase it back, but Christensen, another very strong rider and high in the GC overall, just popping up there, taking the lead at 6.5, 7 watts per kilogram. And at this point I can't, struggling a little bit to stay on. I probably could get up there, but I just kind of want to get more of a draft. So happy sitting here at third wheel. Another rider comes up and I kick it up to 6.2. Just trying to get back on his wheel. Think I'm going to kind of flow through here in a second, or at least get on the Christensen's wheel. You can see that group up above. Collins must have been really strong today, just opening up to 5 seconds. This Ganjay from Optimum is falling back a bit. Tough pace to stick with. I was just having a tough time back here in the wheels. See, breathing pretty hard down in the GoPro camera on the bottom left. Still not out of my saddle, but we keep going with that. And again, Christensen's just doing a lot of the work up here. Collins has probably done a ton of work today. In my opinion, he doesn't have to do that work, but he'll probably still beat me at the end. But I'm happy to save every extra watt that I can and let him tire himself out, and I can limit the gap if need be. You can see Christensen and again the Optimum rider. These two really wanted to do a lot of the work today. Looks like their strategy is just more to pull him back than really bridge up. Christensen was pretty reliably just cranking out 5, 6 watts per kilogram. We're going to skip forward here at 30K. This is the 3rd time we're going up this climb, and right off the bat, Holiday from Wahoo Coal just charges right out front. You saw those orange numbers pop, and he immediately opens up a pretty steady gap here. I go to the front, not too worried about losing drafts just because it's so steep here, and at 7 watts per kilogram, just trying to hold my own consistent pace between probably about 5 watts per kilogram and 6 on a climb of this length and steepness. And again, just trying to ramp it up before this steep section hits. You can see some of these guys popping up into the orange numbers at 8 watts per kilogram just kind of float through me, and they'll probably crush this climb right in front of me, which is good because I could catch third wheel and get a decent draft. For all it's worth, as I try to get my heart rate down and some breath back in my lungs. Kind of make a mistake there and kind of go through them, but not the end of the world. And just kind of cutting up, this is still the same climb, but just cut off that flat part. And Collins, I mean, 16 watts per, that's crazy. He just goes and immediately opens up 2-second gap. That seems to be his tactic on the day, just really kicking it, sprinting over the top of these climbs. Holiday's up at 8.4, trying to expand the gap, but as you noticed before, it got caught on the downhill, and my personal theory is, we still have 8 riders, I want to say, left in this group, and we're just going to carry speed. You can see we already cut that 8-second gap down to 3 seconds. Collins had gapped up the Holiday, so it's a group of 2. He's still putting in extra effort. I think it's a bit unnecessary because at this point it's kind of knowing that it's going to be caught. At only 2 seconds, it's not going to stick away on these rolling flats where the group just gets speed when we do these little Holiday FFS. You guys know what that means, but I think he was a little bit mad at this point that the breakaway didn't stick because he put in such a big effort. I don't know. I think there was a lot of wasted energy from a couple people on the day, but I mean, they're strong riders, so if it works, great. I'm probably not gonna, if they're strong enough to do that and get away, I probably wouldn't beat them at the end of the day anyways. This is the last bit. We had a pretty easy last lap, and now we're just 1.5k to go, and we're just coming into this last climb. You can see I'm 12th position, have a guaranteed low time gap, but want to see how I can fare on the day. I recovered quite well after that flat section, no real big moves, but to be honest, at this point, I'm just kind of sitting in thinking, I don't know if I can hold the pace with some of these top level guys. As I mentioned, there's a couple top 10 GC people here, probably a couple people around me. I just want to hold on as long as possible, and then usually at the top, about 500 meters to go, I'll make a decision if I have anything left in the legs to sprint for it. You can see this is the beginning of climb. Kind of has a couple kickers where it just quickly goes up to 15%, then back down. Little flat here, and then this is a really tough part. I know it's going to be a hard effort coming up. I'm kind of expecting a few big attacks from the strong guys in the group. Kind of just cruising up in the watts here, try to roll through a little bit while I can still use the draft. And at this point, 15% kind of lost it, and just kind of kicking into my own pace again. 6 to 6.5. This looks like I popped up to almost 7 there, but just nicely sitting on the second wheel here. I'm really hurting at this point. Just kind of really hoping that little flat section at about 500 meters ago comes up. You can see I'm on the front here, and probably not the best idea, but not the end of the world. Can't see riders attacking behind me, but I can see people in their watts per kilogram. Goff, Holiday up in the 8, 9, all these guys up in it. The steepest part here, 17%. And it actually works out nicely. I didn't necessarily plan it this way, but these two guys, Holiday and Goff and Christensen, might come over. Now Christensen won't, but they'll kind of get a little bit of speed going for me on these flatter sections. And here I'm just going to let a couple people roll through, try to recover as much as I can, because you can see my face in the bottom left. I'm just at the edge of my limits here. At this point, I'm thinking I don't know if I can. I was hoping that they wouldn't make a move on the flat because I would have been done. But just trying to sit at the back and get some speed going into this last little kicker here. Um, you can see we're 270 meters from the end. These guys kick it up, and I have no response here. 400 watts is my max. Here I just kick it and give it everything I can. There's a little bit of a glitch in my shifters, the DI2s, and I think I dropped 680 watts. Now I'm able to maintain 650, but that's all I'm able to give. You can see I'm at 8.9, a couple people up there at 9, 10. Just trying to see if I can catch Goff, and kind of realize I ran out of energy there at the end. I think the video on the bottom left is a little bit delayed, but you can see I finished 7th overall here. Pretty good result for the day as I only conceded 7 seconds. Really 6 if you take out the B and Kelly. But overall I was really happy. I stayed with the main group till the end of the day, and that's it for stage 12 of Chasing Yellow. We will see you next time on stage 13 as we tackle the individual time trial. Not my strongest point, but we'll see how it goes. Thank you for tuning in.